Hi everyone, this is the first Q&A I thought I'd do. I've had a few questions over my YouTube channel, an email and some on Facebook, so I thought I'd get stuck into it. Triple S Dias, he writes to me and says, "Hey, thank you for your efforts in creating and posting an awesome and informative videos that help guys like me learn a thing or two about the audio setup and equipment. Please help me out with any suggestions, criticisms, opinions you may have about my inquiry." So let's get stuck into it. He's got a fairly long email, but I'm just going to briefly summarize it. He's got a simple setup consisting of 6-channel analog mixer. He calls it nothing fancy, bare bones. It doesn't have any external effects, equalizers or presets or anything like that. He uses a 4-channel wireless mic system and 2 stereo amplified loudspeakers and a decent laptop. What he wants to know is basically how can you set it up so that the settings of the equalizers, the FX and any sort of sound enhancements, which I'm guessing he means like limiting and gating and things like that, so that he can recall those settings and use them again without having to, I guess someone else might use the mixer and stuff it all up, or I'm not sure what his situation he's in. But anyway, he's asking what my opinion is. I'm actually quite humbled by being asked what my opinion is. I don't really know a huge amount about mixers, but I know a little bit, probably enough to be dangerous. And in his case, and I had a bit of a chat to him as well, I actually think probably what we'll look at recommending is this. This is exactly my mixer. It's the Presonus or Presonus StudioLive 16.0.2. It's actually the bottom of the range of their digital StudioLive mixers. In fact, I think they're actually even phasing this one out. Or they've been threatening to do so for the last 2 or 3 years and they still haven't. It's actually a really good mixer. It's Firewire. That might be one problem. Maybe their new ones might be USB 3, I'm not sure. You need to check it out. But one thing it does do, and that is it has the awesome fat channel and scene saving system in it. And because it's a digital mixer, all the 16 channels can be seen inside your DAW, and instantly anything that you do inside your DAW will come out live as well. So one thing I thought I'd show you is on the mixer itself is this system here called Universal Control, and you actually get a complete virtual mixer here, and there's also an iPad app that can connect as well, which you can look at the YouTube videos and have a look at that. But one of the cool things is this fat channel setup, and you can see on the mixer itself, I'll just go back to that photo. This whole blue area up the top is the fat channel, and you can see there's a high pass filter, a gate, there's a compressor, a limiter and an equalizer, and the equalizer has some limited ability, low to medium and high, so it's not the biggest equalizer in the world, but on here you can do exactly the same thing. In fact, the equalizer on here I think is actually better because you can just draw in how you want your equalizer to be visually, and then you can save these scenes. Ramsey's scene, and you can permanently, they're stored on there, and you can recall them. Any settings that you make on the channel itself, or even system-wide, so all the channel specific, or the fat channel specific, or system-wide, can be recalled. Plus it also has built-in effects. It's got a whole bunch of reverbs and a whole bunch of delays, and they're actually quite nice. Nothing sort of over the top, like nothing like a, you know, like an Eventide or a big Sky Strymon or anything kind of crazy like that, but more sort of, you know, run-of-the-mill but good quality effects on there. Now note with the effects, they only work on the outs, so you can't pipe them back through the DAW, but you can always use your effects inside the DAW as well. All of that stuff is savable as well. So that's my recommendation. Now there are other mixers around that are similar to this, other brands. One other one that's of note is the new Behringer X Air or Air series are similar, and they've got the Midas preamps, which are really quite nice. So you could check that out. And also the Mackie has one as well, which is, I think it's got a laptop or no, it's a tablet docking station for an iPad, and you can use your iPad to control it. So there's some cool mixers out there. This one, it's pretty good. So Triple SDs, thanks very much for your question. If you've got any further questions about this, I'm going to leave some links in the description below for you to go and check this out, and by all means, fire away, ask me more. Alright, moving on to the next one. Now this one I got quite a few questions about generally the same thing, and it's to do with the MX-1 and how you can use it in Ableton Live, and it's got a new feature in a recent firmware update called Live Mode, which is like a subset of their external mode. The MX-1 itself has 3 modes. It has a controller mode, a mixer mode, and an external mode. And in the external mode is how you get into live mode, and you can see here that's the live mode running there. But the question isn't really about what the live mode does, it's more about the faders on the mixer itself and the channel mutes. By default in live mode, they don't seem to work from within Ableton itself. So if I move these channel faders here inside Ableton, or if I arm and disarm a track, in Ableton it's called Activator, or track volume for those little triangles there. The actual mixer itself doesn't do it, but you can get around it, and that's what I think these guys are waiting for me to tell them how to do it. It's actually really easy. I don't know if it's perfect, but I think it's usable. I guess discussions after I show what you can do will tell whether that's been satisfactory for them. So a shout out to MTGP Official and Dean John who sent in these questions. Basically, what you do is you go into MIDI mapping, and let's clear all this testing stuff that I did before. So basically your MIDI mapping should be empty, or hopefully empty, and what you want to do first is, let's do channel 1 just to show that working. So we're going to click on the track volume there, and you can see there's a little square white bracket around that, and then I'm going to move the track or the slider on the MX-1, and you'll notice that up the top here it's registered something, you know, in the MIDI land. Let's not get technical, it's registered that that's control CC number 23. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the channel activator or the track mute, and I'm going to hit the mute button down the bottom here on the MX-1. Now I'm just doing it just for this one, and I'm just going to click out of that MIDI mapping setting in Ableton Live, and now we're going to move the slider up and down, and you can see on Ableton it's also moving up and down, and I'm going to hit the mute button and it activates and deactivates the channel. Now you'll notice that the light is on when the channel light is on, and the light is off when the channel light is off. And it might confuse a few people, but just know that it does work. You've just got to work out, you know, which way you're happy with it. I think in a default MX-1 mode, the light is on when it's muted, so it's kind of the opposite. So it's really easy. You can do it all at the same time. So you can just click on channel 2's track, do the fader, then there, on the activator, click that, channel 3, I'll just do the 3, fader, activator. So there's 3 all at once, and you can see they're all listed there. I think you can actually go in and muck about with that, but anyway, let's just leave that for now. So let's just see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and let's move channel slider 3 so that works. Beautiful. So guys, hopefully that's answered your question specifically about can Ableton fader in the MX-1 interact. Yes, but you've got to do that MIDI mapping. Now, what I suggest you do is once you've finished doing all that MIDI mapping that you can see here, is save this with all your channels open, name all these channels to whatever devices you've got going in it. So like my mic's going into 5, so we'll call that mic. Do you know what I mean? Like, so save all your Ableton stuff and just call it, well, I've called mine MX-1. Just call it whatever you want. But when you load it in, you can then create a new Ableton sort of sequence or Ableton performance, and you can go file save as, and all those settings will continue to stay with you with your next one. So you can just go save live set as, and it will you know, it won't overwrite, and you can create a new copy. So that will get you around it, I think. So thanks guys again. Okay, I'm going to move down to the last one. This one's from Lee Wilbraham. G'day Lee. Hi Ramsey, I like your video, pretty useful. Now I think this video he was talking about was my MX-1 setup video that I did. I've got a number of devices that you've got, the Push, the Korg Sampler, MX-1, etc. I've used the JP08 and the TB03, but I've been struggling to get it to sync and connect to everything. The boutique gear doesn't seem to respond when connecting to the USB ports of the MX-1. Do you have any suggestions? Okay, and he's gone through and basically given me a whole bunch of details on his connection. So let's head on over to the MX-1. Okay, so here's our little MX-1. Now I just want to show you here, Lee, and anyone else looking. This cable here is plugged into USB host 3, which is the powered one, and I've got that going into my TB03. Now you said you had a TB03, so I thought, well, let's use the same device. Okay, so that's, so you know, that's going into there. There's the whole MIDI cable, sorry, USB cable, I apologise. And I'm just going to sit that to the side because I don't have a lot of camera space here. Let's hit start on the MX-1. Okay, now that should be playing our TB03, and let's just arm that channel now. Okay, so you can see that that definitely armed the channel. It also, you could hear the sounds from the TB03 in there. Now I've got this in Ableton Live mode. I want you guys to know that you don't have to run, just because you're using Ableton, you don't have to run your MX-1 in Ableton Live mode to use it with Ableton Live. So this is kind of more like a clip launcher sequencer help aiding controller for Ableton. But if you just use the mixer in standard mixer mode, and you're just recording your channels, and if you're more into performance, you can record the master out through channel 17 and 18. Try that out as well. In fact, let's give it a quick changeover now. So what I've got to do is I've got to turn this off. Now we're going to probably lose audio for a sec. So let me just do this. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn it on and hold down gain, and that'll get me back into the 3 settings of the mixer, and I'm going to select mix. So let's do that. See you in a sec. Okay, and my voice has gone over to the left, but that's okay. All right, so let's get channel 3 going. Press start. So this is acting like a mixer now. Alright, so let's go back into mixer mode. So Lee, just reading through your question you're asking about, like how do you set it up and all that. The MX-1 that I've got is plugged into a spare USB port, which actually is a USB 3 hub. I'm running a Mac Mini. I think you mentioned you're running Windows. It doesn't really make any difference anyway. I guess the last thing to double check for you is these settings in the back end here of Ableton. So make sure that you've got your input config set up with all your channels mapped and turned on. I've noticed that a lot of people buy an MX-1 and they will go straight into live mode and then they can't get any sound out of it. And this is what happens when you don't have no sound, blah, 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 blah. So you literally, if you don't have that channel in your DAW activated and pulling the input, you won't hear anything. So make sure that your input config is set up, your output config is also set up, remembering that channel 17 and 18 is your master out, and that comes through on the mixer as PC. Okay, so turn that on, make sure you can hear that, and make sure you've got all your channels here on your DAW as well. So it's kind of, there's a little bit of setting up to do. Also, you need to make sure under MIDI that you've got the MX-1 as a control surface, and you've also got to make sure that the track sync and remote on input and output is enabled. Notice also you can see every single individual USB, so that's actually really cool. If you want to control from your DAW, for example, USB 3 here is my TB03 just over there because I just showed you I was connected to it. I actually literally can send through my DAW MIDI to that TB03. I don't have to run sequences built into it. That just makes this thing so cool and powerful. Go into your manual, check out how you can, and you know, can assign MIDI channels to all your devices and everything. It's really cool. There's a video that I did a little while ago where I've shown how I've mapped MIDI to different channels, and I've used the key step and I've done a live performance, and I've actually literally changed MIDI channels on the fly while I'm playing different instruments. And you know, I didn't do that with Ableton Live mode, I just did that in mixer mode. So it doesn't really matter which mode you're in as long as you know what mode you're in, some of the quirky settings that you have to do. You might notice before when I was doing the mixer mode, my mic went to the left channel, and when I was talking and the audio went off and all that sort of stuff. So just bear in mind the quirkinesses of the mixer and all the different modes and how you can use it. Hopefully guys, this has answered your question. Funnily enough, the Q&A this time has been all about mixers and DAWs. Let me know guys if you want to ask me a question for the next Q&A. There's links in the bottom in the description on how to do that, and I've got an email and all sorts of other things that you can catch me up on. But the easiest way is just to chat to me through the channel, like most of these guys did. Yeah, I'll probably end it there and wish you all guys a great happy week, and we'll talk to you all soon. Cheers.